Welcome to Proper Wealth with me, Paul Mahoney, the show where we discuss all things wealth creation with a focus on property. Today we're discussing the general election and 2020 and beyond and what to expect. Joining me today is Tomer Aboody from MT Finance.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us, Tomer.
Thank you for inviting me.
So, an exciting topic to discuss today, I think. The election and then I suppose the what to expect from that moving forward. I suppose let's start off by saying, how do you feel about the outcome of the election?
I think to be fair, I mean, in one way about how I feel, I think is relieved. I think it was an important election to have had, considering the amount of turmoil we've had and instability since the Brexit vote. We needed some sort of stability and stable government going forward, whether hopefully for 5 years, maybe for longer, who knows. But looking past 7 or 8 years, we've had 4 elections. We've had a EU referendum. We've had a Scottish referendum. You've had EU regulations for on the lending side. You've had so many variables and instabilities to the market, which hasn't helped. It hasn't helped property investors. It hasn't helped people buying for their own homes because you actually don't know what's going to happen next. Yeah. So I think overall it just gave us some sort of relief. Actually, maybe it's a business-focused kind of government coming through. Yeah. Hopefully it will help the many. Unlike some other parties. But it's I was relieved. I was happy. I think should work well for the future.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. There has been a lot of uncertainty, as you say. Lots of elections. Brexit is a big one where no one really knows what's happening. No. I think that's resulted in a lot of sort of pent-up demand when we're talking property-wise. People kind of sitting on the sidelines, and I think it's just recently, even before the election, some of that demand has been returning. I heard someone coined a term the other day, Brexit fatigue, which I thought was quite apt.
That's quite good, actually.
I think we're all sick of Brexit.
Correct.
And a lot of the people that were sitting on the sidelines waiting are sick of waiting.
Correct.
No one likes to see money in the bank.
No.
So I can see some of that coming back. Yeah. And I think now the election, it's not the final point because we've still got Brexit to resolve, but it's quite a positive one, I think, for anybody in property finance or who has a focus on the economy in general. I think the outcome of the election is a real positive.
Yeah, you got someone there who actually is pushing for the Brexit, going to push it to the next level, and hopefully just get a final point. As you said, I mean, it's going to be another year, 2, 3, 4, maybe even longer of negotiations. Yeah. But it's going in the right direction. I think it's been the fact that it's been so unstable and unsteady. It's as you said, people are sitting back and not sure what to do. Do they go full steam ahead, buy themselves a home, buy themselves an investment, even though the stamp duties are high, which probably will, I believe, still have an effect on the property market. I mean, it's not going to be all roses and everyone's going to start buying and the property market is going to go shoot through the roof because stamp duty still is a big issue on second homes, on investment assets, on even main homes on the higher end. So I think that's something which hopefully the Conservatives will tackle, will help stimulate the property market, will help get that bounce even to a high level. Yeah. But as you say, I think even a few months ago when potentially Conservatives were looking to get a deal done by October 31st, even up to that point, people felt a bit better. People felt there's light at the end of the tunnel, even though the tunnel's a bit further out than we think. It's a bit longer, but it has been, unfortunately, it's been a tough market. It's been tough across the board for a lender, for a buyer. Yeah. You're just not sure what's going to happen. So hopefully this is going to be a stimulant.
I think so. Yeah, you're right. There's been lots of changes, hasn't there? Yeah. We had some legislative changes around tax and then stamp duty and. That's kind of filtering its way through the market now. Correct.
But they even brought in I think the business tax relief on certain areas for shops. Trying to help and to actually influence and stimulate the retail market. Because retail is obviously taking a massive hit since the internet's come through. Yeah. And you want to help that. You want businesses to thrive. You don't want that be falling away. It's for that to fall away and then actually. People out there who're losing jobs, you want actually to help that. You want to help your local shops and etc. So that was a good stimulant, I think. Pretty sure, I think it was 2-3 budgets ago, whenever it was. And hopefully that can go forward. And you'd like to think hopefully someone like Sajid Javid, he's going to come in with in the next budget something to stimulate that
Yeah.
kind of that area and maybe the property market on stamp duty levels.
Hopefully, yeah. And I think, not to come across too political, but we are talking about the election.
Correct.
Some things that were mentioned were worrying to a lot of people, such as rental caps.
Correct.
And right to buy for general tenants.
Yeah.
I definitely got asked a lot of questions about those things and whether they were going to happen. No one really knew prior to the election, but that now seems to be put to bed, which I think is really good. It just solves that worry in some people's minds.
I agree, and I think the past few years, what the stamp duty has done, even though it's been high, it has stabilised the market. Even though it's taken a bit further, maybe down, it has stopped or at least slowed down the growth. And it was unfair. First-time buyers or families wanting to move to bigger properties, they were having issues. The values were running away from them, and they couldn't buy. So that has helped. And I think that's probably that was obviously a good thing, and you need to actually stabilise that now, help people go up the ladder. What has been great the past few years, past year, maybe 18 months, lenders have been more aggressive with their loan to values and also more aggressive in potentially the income ratios and potentially buying. I mean, you'll know more about that than myself, but I've seen that there's more lenders in the market, there's bigger competition. So it has helped people get on the ladder and has pushed that to that side. I think the Help to Buy has been great. I think that hopefully that can continue. We all know then there's more homes needed to be built. But I think the rental caps and the Help to Buy for for tenants, or I suppose the ability for them to buy. I mean, I think that could potentially been stagnant. It could have been actually really massively effective.
It could have been massive. I'm not sure whether they were realistic policies,
but
they were mentioned by big names.
Correct.
And therefore they were worrying for a lot of people.
Correct.
And we've certainly seen that since that has sort of now been resolved, there's been a lot of people that were waiting for that to be solved.
Correct.
That are now looking to buy and get back involved in the market, which is real positive.
I think people forget that having a static market doesn't help the economy across the board. It's not just housing. Someone's buying a house. They're typically going to sometimes change their kitchen, change a bathroom, get building work. So before you know, you've got people buying new bathrooms, buying new kitchens. But that stimulates to the whole economy, across the board. So you actually want to get that moving. You want to get that push forward. And as of course, potentially that could increase prices, but hopefully not to a level that had done previously. But you need just that to help the economy push back up again. And even though it's been great, I think it can get better. And I am confident going 2020 and
I think
beyond.
it's an interesting point so far as what you mentioned, so far as lenders becoming more creative. In some cases aggressive. And you're right, absolutely. But what's interesting is I get asked a lot by consumers, is the lending market tightening because of things like Brexit? And I'd certainly say in the residential and buy-to-let side of things, it hasn't in any way, shape or form. If anything, it's moving in the other direction. And I think it's just because some people read negative media articles,
of course.
They assume that the market's tightening, when actually it hasn't.
No,
if anything, there's much more products and more creativity being created.
We are seeing as a lender and also I suppose as an industry, there are exits. People are able to exit a loan, which obviously proves, there's actually more lenders out there. There's actually, as I said, people who are they've got the finger on the pulse. They're trying to be creative, trying to work with the borrowers to try and make sure that they have a safe kind of like financial solution to any potential debts they have or any potential mortgages. And that's massively helped. It's helped with younger people getting on the ladder. Potentially, as they say, bank of mum and daddy to come in and help. But that does help. But no, I think it's a matter of knowledge. And I think sometimes people are affected, and they are going to be affected by what they see and what they read. But until they actually speak to experts, like I suppose people like yourselves, and who actually know what's out there and the products that's out there, they're not going to actually realise, what's available to them to be able to get on the ladder or to actually get out of potential current debt that they have and get a better deal out there. There's good business.
I think Help to Buy is a good example of some of the innovation that the government has used, which has been criticised to certain extents, but definitely is helping. Obviously people in London buying properties with Help to Buy still need a reasonable amount of income.
Correct.
It's hard to solve that, obviously, but it does bring down the amount of deposit they need substantially. And for example, I've even seen some of the guys in my office that previously wouldn't have been able to buy a home in London that have, using Help to Buy, which I think is great.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think there'll be more take up of that as assuming they keep the policy in place, and it will continue to help first-time buyers.
It's such a positive policy to have, and you see developers as soon as they're able to get the Help to Buy aspect on the development, it's a massive bonus to any lender. Because you think, well, there's actually going to be more demand. It's going to be easier for them to actually get a mortgage and be able to sell. I think we all know that London, unfortunately, has escaped a lot of buyers, and it's very hard to bring that back. I mean, you still need to be, as you said before, you need to earn a good amount of money to be able to buy in these areas. But there's so many good areas around, and now with the I suppose with the Crossrail, as and when the HS2 is being built, across the networks, as you make England even smaller than it is, and being able to have the access to different big cities, that's going to massively help, and that's going to generate and regenerate certain areas, which is what you need.
There is plenty of exciting infrastructure projects underway now that will have an impact over the coming years. Okay, great. So we need to go to a break now. Join us after the break for more on the general election and what to expect from 2020 and beyond.
Property is a great investment option, but it's one of the largest purchases that you'll ever make. As individuals, we're all limited by our resources, and regardless of our experience, knowledge or time, we can achieve much more with the help of a qualified team and extra resources being available. Nova Financial specialise in assisting clients to achieve financial freedom through property investment. With over 100 years of experience, we shape your family's future. To invest in property with absolute confidence, call us on 0203 8600 or visit nova.financial.
MT Finance is a multi-award-winning short-term finance lender based in London. We specialise in auction finance and bridging loans on both a first and second charge basis. Our reputation in the market is second to none for delivering funds at speed. As a non-status lender, we don't require evidence of credit history, accounts or proof of income. Instead, we look at the property and listen to the rationale behind a loan when making a decision. There are no lengthy application forms to fill in, and our hands-on approach means we're able to process a bridging finance request quickly and with minimum fuss. At MT Finance, we believe a bridging loan should either make or save a borrower money. For more information, visit mt-finance.com.
Meet the Author is a brand new mini-series involving leading experts in the property industry, including mentors, developers, property lawyers and other industry experts who share insightful stories about their journey and their books. Each book is compiled by authors with years of valuable experience, tips and observations, providing you with new knowledge about the property industry. To find out more, visit the website property-tv.co.uk/library.
Hello and welcome to Property TV. I'm Stephen Galpin, host of Property Question Time. We've completed the filming of Series 1, over 260 successful episodes. We're now about to film Series 2. The difference? Well, we're going to be filming in our new studio adjacent to the Canary Wharf development. Keep those questions coming in to us, keep our panellists, our experts busy, and we hope you enjoy the new series as much as you did the last one.
Welcome back to Proper Wealth with me, Paul Mahoney. Today we're discussing the general election and what to expect from 2020 and beyond. Joining me still is Tomer Aboody from MT Finance. Okay, so before the break, we spoke about some of the things that led into the election, some of the things that were causing uncertainties, the fact that we both view the outcome of the election as quite a positive thing and a step in the right direction. So perhaps now we can talk about what we expect from the election, what that's going to lead into, and also therefore what to expect from 2020 and beyond that. So I suppose we'll start with you. What's your take on that?
I think having had a minority government in the past few years, it just hasn't helped with any policies, any regulations having to be passed through. You needed a clean break. You needed the majority to come through. You needed someone who's actually behind that, who's going to help. And whether you're a fan of Boris or not, I think he's in.
Yeah.
He's in. He's got the majority. He's able to hopefully bring in policies that are going to help and generate the economy, help obviously in the property market, and help across nationwide. I mean, obviously we saw from the voting, it wasn't just like previous times that some southeast and the Midlands who've been voting or the west. It's like from north to south, people have been voting for that. They wanted stability. They wanted to get, as Conservatives say, get Brexit done, because that's what people wanted. We wanted just to move on. Even people who were hardline Remainers beforehand, I'm sure by that time they've become so frustrated and so annoyed by the fact that it's actually carried on for so long that they actually really just want to get out, because even though it's going to be a hard couple of years, probably ahead, a few years of negotiations, at least we're going in the right direction. At least there's something there. So I think going forward, I think it's going to be exciting times. They're going to be exciting times for in the property market, the economy, etc. People will take advantage of the positivity out there. I think institutional money will come, I wouldn't say come back in, because it hasn't really left, but a lot of people maybe were holding back, just like even small-time investors were holding back. Institutions, across the world, were holding back to see what happens with the economy and with the elections. As soon as they see that sort of stability, they're going to come back in. They're going to start investing in infrastructure, investing into the or lending, coming to the lending platforms and helping across the board. We've seen lenders, past few years who've potentially, I wouldn't say completely held back, but they've actually reduced the amount of lending, or maybe not been as positive or as aggressive. We're going to come back into the market, and that's going to help developers, going to help builders, etc. Which is what's needed, I think, going forward.
Yeah, I think that the point you made about the majority government is a real big one, because it has been very frustrating, seeing Parliament meeting and never actually achieving anything. No,
children arguing in a playground.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Bickering and never agreeing on anything, and therefore wasting their time. Yeah. So it will be good to see some things actually start to happen.
Correct.
And certainly the policies overall with the current majority government do seem to be quite positive in favour of the economy, the property market, the financial services market, those sorts of things, which, from our perspectives are obviously quite positive. And for, from, as you say, from your small-time investor through to your institutional investor, should be quite positive for them as well.
Yeah, I mean, even for the past few days, the noises, the comments that the Prime Minister's making, it's all positive. It's all, I'm not talking about NHS, but it's all helping about, talking about we're going to provide, legislation to be legally binding to invest in the NHS. They're listening to what the people have asked for, and it's a great opportunity to have a government who's going to help across nationwide people from all spectrums of society, economy, to be able to help them and actually maintain them and keep those voters who've come in and maybe lent them the vote, which they have, to keep them and actually grow that, and maybe in the next election and have maybe 10 years of stability, who knows, and maybe longer. I think until the oppositions start working themselves and trying to actually deal with their own infrastructure, it's going to be very hard to push the Conservatives away. And I think if they actually manage to listen to the people and actually push that forward with regards to the economy, financial sectors, as I said, NHS across other spectrums of the whole broader aspect, I think it can only be positive. And if people will actually feel good about themselves and can go in for day-to-day life thinking, we've got a government that's working for us and working with us and looking to actually help the infrastructure of the country.
And I think it's a nice surprise to see some positive media around property again.
Correct.
There's been a lot of property bashing happening lately.
And actually not even much comments. I mean, I get asked to comment quite a lot on the market, etc. And there's only so much you can find to say, well, the market's been stagnant. It's been 0.5% up or 0.5% down from last year. And those are, I suppose, on the whole, should be obvious, because, well, nothing's going to happen until you have stability, until you have certainty, or some sort of certainty, or belief. it's going to have an onwards effect.
Yeah.
Because previously you just thinking, well, where is this going to go? Where is this going to go? As a buyer, as a buyer myself, I wanted to buy a house. And I think to myself, do I wait? Do I go? Do I do you fold or do you twist? You just don't know anymore.
Yeah.
So now hopefully that will give you the positivity across the board.
Yeah.
The media needed it. The media needs some sort of positive and positive spins, but we need it as a market.
It's a little bit scary how much influence the media has on general opinion, isn't it?
Correct.
But to see an article yesterday describing the Boris bounce, which I thought was quite cool, but also a bit funny.
Yeah.
But I think that was about an overseas buyer who bought a £65 million property in Mayfair, and a big part of their decision was a Tory majority government.
Yeah.
Now that's just one example of,
sure.
I'm sure, thousands.
Yeah, I mean the upper end, it's funny actually though, the upper end for the past few months, 6 to 8 months from what we've seen, and when I mean by the upper end, probably 10, 15 million pound plus, you're not going to get many transactions, but there has been quite a lot, I mean it's all relative, comparison to 2, 3, 4 years ago, because people actually were taking advantage of the weak pound.
Yeah.
Or having confidence in what's going to happen. You have people who were buying properties a few weeks ago, thinking, okay, if it's a Labour government, we might get hit. Conservative government, potentially, okay, my value is going to go up, or at least I'm safe in this purchase. Potentially they're going to help me stimulate and help the government, the economy being stimulated with the property market. But you're right. I think it's nice to have maybe overseas coming in, even though there's been policies which are going to increase their stamp duties on overseas buyers, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
They're still potentially coming in. They're still coming in potentially with a cheap sterling. They're buying property with cheap sterling. So they're already, in their mind, or actually realistically buying a 20-30% discount to what they were buying 4 or 5 years ago. So an extra 3%.
We'll obviously see whether that happens for the overseas buyers. I think part of my issue with a policy like that is, again, it's very London focused.
Yeah, for sure.
In what it's trying to achieve.
Yeah.
Whereas it could negatively impact other areas which do need the inward investment.
No, for sure.
But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, hopefully, they'll work maybe some sort of a scaling factor.
Yeah.
Scaling kind of like stamp duty. But I think we need some sort of even more stimulants coming through. As I was saying before in the first half, I think if the government can look at the stamp duty, that's going to be a massive factor. And whether they increase the threshold from for people paying stamp duty from the first for the 1%, 3% to a high level, as in like to a higher purchase level, to maybe 500,000, whatever it is. And I don't think people buying the higher ends, even 750, 1 million, 1.5 million, don't mind paying a bit more stamp duty. They understand that that's needed. But I think it has to be, in conjunction, and actually also be realistic. Someone buying a £2-3 million house doesn't have £300,000-400,000 the whole time lying around. And I know people think, people buying £2 million, you have excess cash. Well, you live usually within your means, so you're going to buy £2.5 million because you can afford to buy that, but you're also borrowing. It's
exactly
not,
right.
you're leveraging that.
It's an out-of-pocket cost, isn't
Correct.
it? So
you're leveraging that money.
It's a huge amount extra
100%.
cash that you're putting in.
Right. And people taking advantage of, the 0% or, whatever, just above 0% borrowing base. It's people have to take advantage of that now. But as I said, it's out-of-pocket expenses. Potentially you're buying a house that needs work, or if you're buying a house £2.5 million and you're laying out 300,000-400,000 on stamp duty, then 300,000-400,000 of work to do the property up. It's a lot of money. It's actually it's out of your pocket.
Okay, well I think we could probably talk about this all day, but
sure.
We're running out of time. So if we focus in on what's your prediction for let's say the next 12 to 18 months.
I think the market itself will have a fillip. I think there'll be an increase. It might be a 2%, 3% increase. Of course, some areas will have a bigger increase than others. It's all relative on the pricing. But due to the confidence in the market, due to the confidence in people and in the government, people will just push through, and people will now start buying and go through. And people put properties back on the market. A lot of people were waiting. They're saying, well, I'm not going to get the maximum I'm going to get previous. So let me go on the market. As you said before, there's pent-up demand. Only people waiting to buy, and I think that will go across the board. Yeah,
I think there's without doubt pent-up demand. That's starting to return, which is real positive. That in itself will inspire some more confidence, because the market will start to move in a positive way.
Correct.
But then we have things like the election, which is quite positive in our view. Brexit hopefully getting resolved relatively soon as well. And then, as you say, perhaps also some stimulus. because it's been a bit of a nightmare, this whole Brexit thing.
For sure.
And the government will probably want to, stimulate the economy. They'll probably print some money. They might even lower interest rates. And show that Britain's great again.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think
you combine all those factors, we're going to see some sort of spike, regardless of how big it is.
For sure. I think they're going to help. I think they're going to help the property market. They're going to help, I think, on the business rates, on retail, because that's needed. That's definitely needed for certain, especially in certain areas where retail's unfortunately died, and you want to bring that back in. There's so many other factors that they can start taxing other people, but I think it's going to work really well.
Great.
Think,
well, look,
I'm excited. I'm excited for it.
I think we've covered a lot there in a short period of time.
For sure.
So quite informative. Thank you very much for your time,
Thank
Tomer.
you.
That's all we've got time for now. And join us next time on Proper Wealth.
Property is a great investment option, but it's one of the largest purchases that you'll ever make. As individuals, we're all limited by our resources, and regardless of our experience, knowledge or time, we can achieve much more with the help of a qualified team and extra resources being available. Nova Financial specialize in assisting clients to achieve financial freedom through property investment. With over 100 years of experience, we shape your family's future. To invest in property with absolute confidence, call us on 0203 8600 or visit nova.financial.
MT Finance is a multi-award-winning short-term finance lender based in London. We specialise in auction finance and bridging loans on both a first and second charge basis. Our reputation in the market is second to none for delivering funds at speed. As a non-status lender, we don't require evidence of credit history, accounts or proof of income. Instead, we look at the property and listen to the rationale behind a loan when making a decision. There are no lengthy application forms to fill in, and our hands-on approach means we're able to process a bridging finance request quickly and with minimum fuss. At MT Finance, we believe a bridging loan should either make or save a borrower money. For more information, visit mt-finance.com.
The tax system has evolved significantly over recent years for property investors and developers. You may think that you and your accountant have a grip on these changes. However, unless you are receiving specialist tax advice from a specialist tax advisory firm, then it's unlikely to be the case. At ETC Tax, our team of highly experienced chartered tax advisors work with private individuals and companies to deliver effective tax planning whilst meeting HMRC compliance requirements. Let us help you to meet your personal or commercial objectives in the most tax efficient manner. ETC Tax, making the complex simple.
Meet the Author is a brand new mini-series involving leading experts in the property industry, including mentors, developers, property lawyers, and other industry experts who share insightful stories about their journey and their books. Each book is compiled by authors with years of valuable experience, tips, and observations, providing you with new knowledge about the property industry. To find out more, visit the website property-tv.co.uk/library.
Hello and welcome to Property TV. I'm Stephen Galpin, host of Property Question Time. We've completed the filming of Series 1, over 260 successful episodes. We're now about to film Series 2. The difference? Well, we're going to be filming in our new studio adjacent to the Canary Wharf development. Keep those questions coming in to us, keep our panellists, our experts busy, and we hope you enjoy the new series as much as you did the last one.